Upgrades.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Today, we are bringing you the latest action film from, I think I can say he's becoming one of like the go-to guys at this point for action films in Hollywood, and that's Joel Kinnaman. And this one is called The Silent Hour. And here's a quick synopsis. 16 months after an on-the-job incident leaves him with hearing loss, Frank Shaw and his partner are drawn into a life-threatening conflict. They must protect a deaf murder witness who lives in a vulnerable apartment building. And this one is directed by Brad Anderson. Again, it stars Joel Kinnaman. It stars Sandra, Mekhi, Phifer, and Mark Strong. Now, here's the thing about The Silent Hour, and this is kind of the overall feel for me of this film. This is almost the perfect type of escapism action film that you can get. It has characters that you will believe that you've seen before, or that you've seen how they move before in films in particular. But what makes this film entertaining is some slight changes to the narrative of I call it the apartment building action film. We've seen these countless times. I want to say since The Raid came out, we've seen it in so many different forms. The Raid, Raid 2, Judge Dredd, Brick Mansions, anything of that nature that leads to this. But what separates The Silent Hour from them, one, it feels way more like a thriller and a reminiscent of Panic Room than anything else. And it's the actual premise of this. As we're introduced to Frank Shaw as he and his partner are going on a mission to arrest someone, and a horrible accident happens, which leaves him partially deaf. And then we have to go through the progression of the film of him not only learning how to deal with being deaf, but also at the same time having to go and investigate a crime witnessed by a deaf person. And we see that he's only there because in a very funny scene at the beginning of the film where he's attempting to be her interpreter. And she is absolutely mad about this because she wanted a professional interpreter to get every word. And then we get the sympathy that, he's recently gone through this, and he's not just an interpreter, it's someone who has to do this. He's attempting to learn this. And once we get to the crux of the issue of the film, of dirty cops being involved, one played amazingly well by Mekhi Phifer in this film. And when the dirty cops are getting involved, we get an action movie that takes a turn in a way that I'm not accustomed to seeing in these type of films at all. And that is when you have the murder witness being deaf, and then the lone cop there to save her also is deaf. So many twists and turns in this film. You're having to realize these characters are having to lean on other instincts. And then we see Joel's character, Frank, struggle because he's not fully accepted his disability at this point. And because he hasn't, a lot of his other senses don't kick in well. And then we have Ava, who has to really set up everything. And it's brilliant the way they did it. And it's brilliant the way they use this partially abandoned apartment building as a way to contain the action. Because if this was a film that would have went in the streets in any way, or if this was a populated building, I don't think this film works well. But because we understand, like, this building is being shut down, we understand, like, these cops are there to hunt her down, and then we understand that both of them have a disability where they can't hear anyone coming. So you have to pick up on other instincts to attempt to save yourself. That is what makes this film interesting. And Brad does an amazing job at building tension at points where we see Frank can't hear. Because for a period of the film, he has a hearing aid. Amazingly, when everything goes to heck, his hearing aid died. And then that's when we get the excitement of seeing all of this stuff happen around him and him not being able to hear anything, and him attempting to use his other reflexes to attempt to make up for the hearing loss. And then we have Ava, who's been deaf her entire life, so she is more accustomed to her surroundings with no sound. And it's the camaraderie we get between them two as they are attempting to survive this. Now, it is a plot in between of why these cops are looking for Ava. That is very interesting also. And again, it goes down a path of these films that you've seen before. Dirty cops, witness on the run, one lone cop to save her. All of those are premises that you are accustomed to seeing in these type of films. But again, what separates the Silent Hour is the point of showing people with disabilities and not being at a disadvantage because of those disabilities. I think that is highly important here. As we see, again, with Joel's character, we understand that he has a disability, that he's not accepted. But on others' turn, we get to see Ava, who has this disability, has had this disability her entire life. She's more than accepted the disability. She knows how to maneuver with it, and she knows how to use her other instincts to make up for that disability. It is, I think it's weird to say that like this movie can be a form of advocacy for the deaf community in a way where it shows like even here, there are no limitations to what you can do. And this film does a great job of showing that, along with being an extremely entertaining thriller. Again, it's nothing you haven't seen before. It's just packaged differently. And I think at this point, with these type of films, any genre specific type of film, you're not looking for new, you're looking for better packaging. And The Silent Hour is packaged perfectly well just to be an escapism action film. Like, I was intrigued throughout this entire film. Even at points where I kind of predicted and knew exactly where the plot was going, it didn't stop the film from being entertaining. And I think that is the most important element of The Silent Hour, is that no matter what, no matter the plot issues you may have, no matter any pacing issues you may have, I didn't have any, but I know some people may have some, it's still going to be entertaining. And Brad does an amazing job at setting up tension and setting up action. It's so many little nuggets that I wish we could talk about. Maybe we'll talk about it later after everyone can get to see the film. But there's so many little nuggets in this film of how these characters have to move around because of their disability, and how at times the people who are chasing them take advantage of this, and how at times they underestimate them because of it, and how that backfires. Again, it's a nice cat and mouse type of film that works wonderfully well. But The Silent Hour, brought to you by, I want to say, Republic and Paramount. This is showing in select theaters September the 11th. And I believe it's also on VOD at the same time, but I think it may be select theaters first and then on VOD. But if you could go to select theaters, try to find a theater showing this movie, because I think this is more entertaining in a theater, even though it was thoroughly entertaining at home for me to watch it. But I think it will be more entertaining in a theater on a bigger screen to see this and to see the beautiful shots that are set up with the action in this film. But out of a possible 10, I am going to give The Silent Hour an 8.5 out of 10. This is escapism action at its best. Like, this is the type of film that you could turn on in any given time of the day, or go watch any given time of the day and be thoroughly entertained. It says a lot for a film to be just entertaining at a point in time where a lot of films are just not entertaining. Like, The Silent Hour does a beautiful job at that, along with having beautiful shots set up. Good performances by everybody in this film also. Like, I think everything is set up well for The Silent Hour. And that's why I said you need to see it on a big screen, because I think the scope of the film, and any film that does this where they shoot in one location, the scope of that one location is magnified when you see it on a big screen. And this is one of those films with some very great select shots, even shots where you see the Frank and Ava as they're trying to escape certain apartments, and then they look down and you see the distance between them and the ground, or the things that are surrounding them. Like, those are amazing shots to see on a big screen that I think can thoroughly entertain people. So again, check it out. It is in select theaters September the 11th. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.